Act 1 of The Castle Spectre by Matthew Lewis. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Castle Spectre, a drama in 5 acts by Matthew Lewis. Dramatis Personae.
Osmond, read by Nemo.
Reginald, read by David Olson.
Percy, read by Thomas Peter.
Father Philip, read by Son of the Exiles.
Motley, read by Todd.
Kenrick, read by Patrick Seville.
Saib, read by Sandra.
Hassan, read by Kahan.
Muley, read by Kieran Metz.
Alaric, read by Recording Person.
Alan, read by Craig Franklin.
Edric, read by Eva Davis.
Harold, read by Tony Addison.
Chorus, read by Alan Mapstone.
Angela, read by Lian Yao.
Alice, read by Sonia.
Evelina, read by Kalinda.
And narrated by Chuck Williamson. Prologue.
Far from the haunts of men, of vice the foe, the moonstruck child of genius and of woe, versed in each magic spell, and dear to fame, a fair enchantress dwells, Romance her name. She loathes the sun, or blazing tapers light, the moonbeamed landscape, and tempestuous night. Alone she loves, and oft, with glimmering lamp, near graves new opened, or midst dungeons damp, drear forest, ruined aisles, and haunted towers, forlorn she roves and raves away the hours. Anon, when storms howl loud and lash the deep, desperate she climbs the sea rocks, beetling steep. There wildly strikes her harp's fantastic strings, tells to the moon how grief her bosom wrings, and while her strange song chants fictitious ills, in wounded hearts oblivion's balm distills. A youth who yet has lived enough to know that life has thorns and tastes the cup of woe, as late near Conway's time-bowed towers he strayed, invoked this bright enthusiast's magic aid. His prayer was heard, with arms and bosom bare, eyes flashing fire, loose robes, and streaming hair, her heart all anguish, and her soul all flame. Swift as her thoughts the lovely maniac came. High heaved her breasts, which struggling passions rent, as pressed to give some fear-fraught mystery vent. And oft with anxious glance and altered face, trembling with terror, she relaxed her pace, and stopped and listened. Then with hurried tread onwards again she rushed, yet backwards bent her head, as if from murderous swords or flowing fiends she fled. Soon as near Conway's walls her footsteps drew, she bade the youth their ancient state renew. Eager he sped the fallen towers to rear. 'Twas done, and fancy bore the fabric here. Next choosing from great Shakespeare's comic school the gossip crone, gross friar, and gibing fool, these with the virgin fair and lover brave, to our young author's care the enchantress gave, but charged him ere he blessed the brave and fair, to lay the exulting villain's bosom bare, and by the torments of his conscience show that prosperous vice is but triumphant woe. The pleasing task congenial to his soul, oft from his own sad thoughts our author stole. Blessed be his labors, if with like success they soothe their sorrows whom I now address. Beneath this dome should some afflicted breast mourn slighted talents, or desert oppressed, false friendship, hopeless love, or faith betrayed, our author will esteem each toil overpaid. If while his muse exerts her livelier vein, or tells imagined woes in plaintive strain, her flights and fancies make one smile appear on the pale cheek where trickled late a tear, or if her fabled sorrows steal one groan, which else her hearers would have given their own.
Act 1, Scene 1. A grove. Enter Father Philip and Motley.
Never tell me. I repeat it. You are a fellow of a very scandalous course of life.
And I repeat it, I'm a perfect image of the purest virtue, compared to whom, for sobriety and continence, Cato was a drunkard, and Lucretia little better than she should be.
Oh, hardened in impudence! Can you deny being a pilferer, a liar, a glutton?
Can I? Heaven be thanked! I've courage enough to deny anything.
Doesn't all the world cry out upon you?
Certainly my transcendent merit has procured me some enemies, and, in common with many other great men, my virtue at present labours under something of a cloud. But understand me right, Father. Though I don't assent to the sum total of your accusations, possibly I may acknowledge some of the items. The best actions frequently appear culpable, merely because their motives are unexplained. Therefore, produce your charges, let me justify my conduct, and I doubt not I shall retrieve my reputation from your hands as immaculate and pure as a new sheet of foolscap.
To begin then with your pilfering, did you or did you not break open the pantry door and steal out the great goose pie?
Begging your pardon, Father, that was no fault of mine.
Whose then?
The cook's, undoubtedly. For if he hadn't locked the pantry door, 'tis 100 to 1 I shouldn't have taken the trouble to break it open.
Nonsense! Nonsense! I tell you, you've been guilty of stealing, which is a monstrous crime. And what did you steal? Had you taken anything else, I might have forgiven you. But to lay irreverent hands upon the goose pie, as I'm a Christian, the identical goose pie which I intended for my own supper. But this is not my only objection to your conduct.
No?
What principally offends me is that you pervert the minds of the maids, and keep kissing and smuggling all the pretty girls you meet. Oh, fie, fie!
I kiss and smuggle them? Saint Francis forbid! Lord love you, Father, 'tis they who kiss and smuggle me. I protest I do what I can to preserve my modesty, and I wish that Archbishop Dunstan had heard the lecture upon chastity which I read last night to the dairymaid in the dark. He might have been quite edified. But yet, what does talking signify? The eloquence of my lips is counteracted by the lustre of my eyes. And really, the little devils are so tender and so troublesome, that I'm half angry with nature for having made me so very bewitching.
Nonsense! Nonsense!
Why, it was but yesterday that Cicely and Luce went to fisticuffs, quarrelling which looked neatest, my red leg or my yellow leg. Then they are so fond and so coaxing, they hang about one so lovingly, and one says, "Kind Mr. Motley," and the other, "Sweet Mr. Motley." Ah, Father Philip, how is a poor little bit of flesh and blood, like me, to resist such temptation? Put yourself in my place. Suppose that a sweet smiling rogue, just 16, with rosy cheeks, sparkling eyes, pouting lips, etc.
Oh, fie, fie, fie! To hear such licentious discourse brings tears to my eyes.
I believe you, Father, for I see the water is running over at your mouth. However, this shows you...
It shows me that you are a reprobate, and that my advice is thrown away upon you. In future I shall keep those counsels to myself, which I offered you from motives of pure Christian charity.
Charity, my good father, should always begin at home. Now, instead of giving yourself so much trouble to mend me, what if you thought a little of correcting yourself?
I have nothing to correct.
No, to be sure.
The odour of my sanctity perfumes the whole kingdom.
It has a powerful smell about it, I own. Not unlike carrion. You may wind it a mile off.
All malice.
Not exactly. I could mention some little points which might be altered in you still better than in myself, such as intemperance, gluttony.
Gluttony? Oh, abominable falsehood.
Plain matter of fact. Why will any man pretend to say that you came honestly by that enormous belly, that tremendous tomb of fish, flesh, and fowl? I protest I'm grateful to heaven that among the unclean beasts who accompanied Noah there went not into the ark a pair of fat monks. They must infallibly have created a famine, and then the world would never have been repeopled. Next, for incontinence, you must allow yourself that you are unequalled.
I?
You. May I ask what was your business in the beech grove the other evening, when I caught you with buxom Marjorie, the miller's pretty wife? Was it quite necessary to lay your heads together so close?
Perfectly necessary. I was whispering in her ear wholesome advice.
Indeed. Faith, then, she took your advice as kindly as it was given, and exactly in the same way, too. You gave it with your lips, and she took it with hers. Well done, Father Philip.
Son, you give your tongue too great a license.
Nay, father, be not angry. Fools, you know, are privileged persons.
I know they're very useless ones, and in short, Master Motley, to be plain with you, of all fools I think you are the worst, and for fools of all kinds I've an insuperable aversion.
Really? Then you have one good quality at least, and I cannot but admire such a total want of self-love.
A horn sounds.
But hark! 'Tis the dinner horn. Away to table, father. Depend upon't, the servants will rather eat part of their dinner unblessed than stay till your stomach comes like Jonah's whale and swallows up the whole.
Well, fool, I am going. But first let me explain to you that my bulk proceeds from no indulgence of voracious appetite. No, son, no. Little sustenance do I take, but St. Cuthbert's blessing is upon me, and that little prospers with me marvellously. Verily the saint has given me rather too plentiful an increase, and my legs are scarce able to support the weight of his bounties.
Exit. Motley alone.
He looks like an overgrown turtle waddling upon its hind fins. Yet at bottom 'tis a good fellow enough, warm-hearted, benevolent, friendly, and sincere, but no more intended by nature to be a monk than I to be a maid of honour to the Queen of Sheba.
Going. Enter Percy.
I cannot be mistaken. In spite of his dress, his features are too well known to me. Hist! Gilbert! Gilbert!
Gilbert? Oh, Lord, that's I. Who calls?
Have you forgotten me?
Truly, sir, that would be no easy matter. I have never forgotten in my life what I never knew.
Have 10 years altered me so much that you cannot?
Hey, can it be? Pardon, my dear master, pardon! In truth, you may well forgive my having forgotten your name, for at first I didn't very well remember my own. However, to prevent further mistakes, I must inform you that he who in your father's service was Gilbert the knave is Motley the fool in the service of Earl Osmond.
Of Earl Osmond? This is fortunate. Gilbert, you may be of use to me, and if the attachment which as a boy you professed for me still exists...
It does, with ardour unabated, for I'm not so unjust as to attribute to you my expulsion from Enwick Castle. In fact, I deserved it, for I cannot deny but that at 20 I was as good-for-nothing a knave as ever existed. Consequently, old Earl Percy dismissed me from his service, but I know that it was sorely against your inclination. You were then scarce 14, and I had been your companion and playfellow from your childhood. I remember well your grief at parting with me, and that you slipped into my hand the purse which contained the whole of your little treasure. That act of kindness struck to my heart. I swore at the moment to love you through life, and if ever I forget my oath, damn me.
My honest Gilbert, and what made you assume this habit?
Ah, my lord, what could I do? In spite of my knavery and tricks, I was constantly upon the point of starving, and having once contracted the idle habit of eating, I never could bring myself to leave it off. After living 5 years by my wits, want drove me almost out of them. I knew not what course to take. When I heard that Earl Osmond's jester had fled the country, I exerted my knavery for the last time in stealing the fugitive's cast coat, was accepted in his place by the Earl, and now gain an honest livelihood by persuading my neighbours that I'm a greater fool than themselves.
And your change is for the better?
Infinitely. Indeed, your fool is universally preferred to your knave, and for this reason. Your fool is cheated, your knave cheats. Now everybody had rather cheat than be cheated.
Some truth in that.
And now, sir, may I ask, what brings you to Wales?
Oh, a woman whom I adore.
Yes, I guessed that the business was about a petticoat. And this woman is?
The orphan ward of a villager, without friends, without family, without fortune.
Great points in her favour, I must confess. And which of these excellent qualities won your heart?
I hope I had better reasons for bestowing it on her. No, Gilbert, I loved her for a person beautiful without art, and graceful without affectation, for an heart tender without weakness, and noble without pride. I saw her at once beloved and reverenced by her village companions. They looked on her as a being of a superior order, and I felt that she who gave such dignity to the cottage maid must needs add new lustre to the coronet of the Percys.
From which I am to understand that you mean to marry this rustic?
Could I mean otherwise, I should blush for myself.
Yet surely the baseness of her origin
can to me be no objection. In giving her my hand, I raise her to my station, not debase myself to hers, nor ever, while gazing on the beauty of a rose, did I think it less fair because planted by a peasant.
Bravo! And what says your good grumbling father to this?
Alas, he has long slept in the grave.
Then he's quiet at last. Well, God grant him that peace in heaven which he suffered nobody to enjoy on earth. But, his death having left you master of your actions, what obstacle now prevents your marriage?
You shall hear. Fearful lest my rank should influence this lovely girl's affections, and induce her to bestow her hand on the noble, while she refuses her heart to the man, I assumed a peasant's habit, and presented myself as Edwy the low-born and the poor. In this character I gained her heart, and resolved to hail, as Countess of Northumberland, the betrothed of Edwy the low-born and the poor.
I warrant the pretty soul wasn't displeased with the discovery.
That discovery is still unmade. Judge how great must have been my disappointment when, on entering her guardian's cottage with this design, he informed me that the unknown, who 16 years before had confided her to his care, had reclaimed her on that very morning, and conveyed her no one knew whither.
That was unlucky.
Was it not? Ah! Had I declared myself one day sooner, ere this she would have been my wife.
True, and being your wife, if a stranger then had conveyed her no one knew whither, you might have thought yourself mightily obliged to him.
However, in spite of his precautions, I have traced the stranger's course, and find him to be Kenrick, a dependent upon Earl Osmond.
Surely 'tis not Lady Angela, who—
The very same. Speak, my good fellow. Do you know her?
Not by your description, for here she's understood to be the daughter of Sir Malcolm Mowbray, my master's deceased friend. And what is your present intention?
To demand her of the Earl in marriage.
Oh, that will never do. For in the first place, you'll not be able to get a sight of him. I've now lived with him 5 long years, and till Angela's arrival never witnessed a guest in the castle. Oh, 'tis the most melancholy mansion. And as to its master, he's the very antidote to mirth. He always walks with his arms folded, his brows bent, his eyes louring on you with a gloomy scowl. He never smiles, and to laugh in his presence would be high treason. He looks at no one, speaks to no one. None dare approach him, except Kenrick and his 4 blacks. All others are ordered to avoid him, and whenever he quits his room, ding dong goes a great bell, and away run the servants like so many scared rabbits.
Strange. And what reasons can he have for?
Oh, reasons in plenty. You must know there's an ugly story respecting the last owners of this castle. Osmond's brother, his wife, and infant child were murdered by banditti, as it was said. Unluckily, the only servant who escaped the slaughter deposed that he recognized among the assassins a black still in the service of Earl Osmond. The truth of this assertion was never known, for the servant was found dead in his bed the next morning.
Good heavens!
Since that time no sound of joy has been heard in Conway Castle. Osmond instantly became gloomy and ferocious. He now never utters a sound except a sigh, has broken every tie of society, and keeps his gates barred unceasingly against the stranger.
Yet Angela is admitted, but no doubt affection for her father.
Why, no. I rather think that affection for her father's child.
How?
If I've any knowledge in love, the Earl feels it for his fair ward. But the lady will tell you more of this, if I can procure for you an interview.
That very request which...
'Tis no easy matter, I promise you, but I'll do my best. In the meantime, wait for me in yonder fishing hut. Its owner's name is Edric. Tell him that I sent you, and he will give you a retreat.
Farewell, then, and remember that whatever reward...
Dear master, to mention a reward insults me. You have already shown me kindness, and when 'tis in my power to be of use to you, to need the inducement of a second favour would prove me a scoundrel undeserving of the first.
Exit.
How warm is this good fellow's attachment! Yet our barons complain that the great can have no friends. If they have none, let their own pride bear the blame. Instead of looking with scorn on those whom a smile would attract and a favour bind for ever, how many firm friends might our nobles gain, if they would but reflect that their vassals are men as they are, and have hearts whose feelings can be grateful as their own.
Exit. Scene 2. The Castle Hall. Sahib and Hassan meeting.
Now, Hassan, what success?
My search has been fruitless. In vain have I paced the river's banks, and pierced the grove's deepest recesses. Nor glen nor thicket have I passed unexplored, yet found no stranger to whom Kenrick's description could apply.
Saw you no one?
A troop of horsemen passed me as I left the wood.
Horsemen, say you? Then Kenrick may be right. Earl Percy has discovered Angela's abode, and lurks near the castle in hopes of carrying her off.
His hopes, then, will be in vain. Osmond's vigilance will not easily be eluded, sharpened by those powerful motives, love and fear.
His love, I know. But should he lose Angela, what has he to fear?
If Percy gains her, everything. Supported by such wealth and power, dangerous would be her claim to these domains should her birth be discovered. Of this our lord is aware, nor did he sooner hear that Northumberland loved her than he hastened to remove her from Alan's care. At first I doubt his purpose was a foul one. Her resemblance to her mother induced him to change it. He is now resolved to make her his bride, and restore to her those rights of which himself deprived her.
Think you the lady perceives that our master loves her?
I know she does not. Absorbed in her own passion for Percy, on Osmond's she bestows no thought, and, while roving through these pompous halls and chambers, sighs for the Chevoy hills and Alan's humble cottage.
But as she still believes Percy to be a low-born swain, when Osmond lays his coronet at her feet, will she reject his rank and splendour?
If she loves well, she will. Sahib, I too have loved. I have known how painful it was to leave her on whom my heart hung, how incapable was all else to supply her loss. I have exchanged want for plenty, fatigue for rest, a wretched hut for a splendid palace. But am I happier? Oh, no. Still do I regret my native land and the partners of my poverty. Then toil was sweet to me, for I laboured for Samba. Then repose ever blessed my bed of leaves, for there by my side lay Samba sleeping.
'Tis from you, Hassan? Did love ever find a place in your flinty bosom?
Did it? Oh, Sahib, my heart once was gentle, once was good. But sorrows have broken in, insults have made it hard. I have been dragged from my native land, from a wife who was everything to me, to whom I was everything. 20 years have elapsed since these Christians tore me away. They trampled upon my heart, mocked my despair, and, when in frantic terms I raved of Samba, laughed, and wondered how a Negro's soul could feel. In that moment when the last point of Africa faded from my view, when as I stood on the vessel's deck I felt that all I loved was to be lost for ever, in that bitter moment did I banish humanity from my breast. I tore from my arm the bracelet of Samba's hair, I gave to the sea the precious token, and while the high waves swift bore it from me, vowed aloud endless hatred to mankind. I have kept my oath, I will keep it.
Ill-starred Hassan, your wrongs have indeed been great.
To remember them unmans me. Farewell, I must to Kendrick. Hold! Look where he comes from Osmond's chamber.
And seemingly in wrath.
His conferences with the Earl of late have had no other end. The period of his favour is arrived.
Not of his favour merely, Hassan.
How? Mean you that?
His anxiety for independence, his wish to withdraw himself from Wales, yet more certain mysterious words and threats for some time past have made our lord uneasy. By him was I this morning commissioned— Silence! He's here. You shall know more anon.
Enter Kenrick.
His promise ever evaded, my request still heard with impatience, and treated with neglect. Osmond, I will bear your ingratitude no longer. Now, Hassan, found you the man described?
Nor any that resembled him.
Yet, that I saw Percy, I am convinced. As I crossed him in the wood, his eye met mine. He started as had he seen a basilisk, and fled with rapidity. Be on your guard, my friends. Doubtless he will attempt to gain admission to the castle.
Can we be otherwise than watchful, when we see how well the Earl rewards his followers?
Of that, Kenrick, you are an example. Have you obtained that recompense so long promised? Do you enjoy that independence which—
Sahib, the Earl's ingratitude cuts me to the heart. Attached to him from his infancy, I have long been his friend, long fancied him mine. The illusion is now over. He sees that I can serve him no further, knows that I can harm him much. Therefore he fears, and fearing, hates me. But I will submit no longer to this painful dependence. Tomorrow, for the last time, will I summon him to perform his promise. If he refuses, I will bid him farewell for ever, and by my absence free him from a restraint equally irksome to myself and him.
Will you so, Kenrick? Be speedy, then, or you will be too late.
Too late. And wherefore?
You will soon receive the reward of your services.
Ha! You know what that reward will be?
I guess, but may not tell.
Is it a secret?
Can you keep one?
Faithfully.
As faithfully can I. Come, Hassan.
Exeunt. Kenrick alone.
What meant the slave? Those doubtful expressions. Ha ha! Should the Earl intend me false? Kenrick, Kenrick, how is thy nature changed! There was time when a fear was a stranger to my bosom, when, guiltless myself, I dreaded not art in others. Now, wherever I turn me, danger appears to lurk, and I suspect treachery in every breast, because my own heart hides it.
Exit. Enter Father Philip, followed by Alice.
Nonsense, you silly woman. What you say is not possible.
I never said it was possible. I only said it was true, and that if I ever heard music, I heard it last night.
Perhaps the fool was singing to the servants.
The fool indeed! Oh, fie, fie! How dare you call my lady's ghost a fool?
Your lady's ghost? You silly old woman.
Yes, father, yes. I repeat it. I heard the guitar lying upon the oratory table play the very air which the Lady Evelina used to sing while rocking her little daughter's cradle. She warbled it so sweetly, and ever at the close it went, "Lullaby, lullaby, hush thee, my dear, thy father is coming, and soon will be here."
Nonsense, nonsense. Why, prithee, Alice, do you think that your lady's ghost would get up at night only to sing lullaby for your amusement? Besides, how should a spirit which is nothing but air play upon an instrument of material wood and catgut?
How can I tell? Why, I know very well that men are made. But if you desired me to make a man, I vow and protest I shouldn't know how to set about it. I can only say that last night I heard the ghost of my murdered lady.
Playing upon the spirit of a cracked guitar? Alice, Alice, these fears are ridiculous. The idea of ghosts is a vulgar prejudice, and they who are timid and absurd enough to encourage it prove themselves the most contemptible.
Oh, Lord bless us!
What? Hey! Oh, dear!
Look! Look! A figure in white. It comes from the haunted room.
Father Philip, dropping on his knees.
Blessed St. Patrick! Who's got me beads? Where's me prayer book?
It comes! It comes! Now! Now! Oh, lackaday! It's only Lady Angela.
Father Philip, rising.
Lackaday! I'm glad of it with all my heart.
Truly so am I. But what say you now, father, to the fear of spectres?
In good faith, Alice, that my theory was better than my practice. However, the next time you are afraid of a ghost, remember and make use of the receipt which I shall now give you. Instead of calling for a priest to lay the spirits of other people in the Red Sea, call for a bottle of red wine to raise your own. Probatum est.
Exit. Alice alone.
Wine indeed. I believe he thinks I like drinking as well as himself. No, no. Let the old toping friar take his bottle of wine. I shall confine myself to plain cherry brandy.
Enter Angela.
I am weary of wandering from room to room. In vain do I change the scene. Discontent is everywhere. There was a time when music could delight my ear, and nature could charm my eye, when, as the dawn unveiled the landscape, each object it disclosed to me looked pleasant and fair. And while the last sunbeams yet lingered on the western sky, I could pour forth a prayer of gratitude, and thank my good angels for a day unclouded by sorrow. Now, all is gone, all lost, all faded.
Lady!
Perhaps at this moment he thinks upon me. Perhaps he wanders in those mountains where we so oft have strayed, reclines in that bank where we so oft have sat, or listens sadly to the starling which he taught to repeat my name. Perhaps then he sighs and murmurs to himself, "The flowers, the rivulets, the birds, every object reminds me of my well-beloved. But what shall remind her of Edwy? Oh, that will my heart, Edwy. I need no other remembrancer."
Lady Angela, she minds me no more than a post.
"Oh, are you there, good Alice? What would you with me?"
Only ask how your ladyship rested.
"Ill, very ill."
"Lack a day, and yet you sleep in the best bed."
"True, good Alice, but my heart's anguish strewed thorns upon my couch of down."
"Mary, I'm not surprised that you rested ill in the cedar room. Those noises so near you."
"What noises? I heard none."
"How? When the clock struck 1, heard you no music?"
"Music? None."
"And never have heard any while in the cedar room?"
"Not that I— Stay, now I remember, that while I sat alone in my chamber this morning—"
"Well, lady, well?"
"Methought I heard someone singing. It seemed as if the words ran thus: Lullaby, lullaby, hush thee, my dear."
The very words! It was the ghost, lady. It was the ghost."
"The ghost, Alice? I protest I thought it had been you."
"Me, lady? Lord, when did you hear this singing?"
"Not 5 minutes ago, while you were talking with Father Philip."
"The Lord be thanked. Then it was not the ghost. It was I, lady. It was I. And have you heard no other singing since you came to the castle?"
"None. But why that question?"
"Because, lady— but perhaps you may be frightened."
"No, no. Proceed, I entreat you."
"Why then, they do say that the chamber in which you sleep is haunted. You may have observed 2 folding doors which are ever kept locked. They lead to the oratory in which the Lady Evelina passed most of her time while my lord was engaged in the Scottish wars. She would sit there, good soul, hour after hour, playing on the lute, and singing airs so sweet, so sad, that many a time and oft have I wept to hear her. Ah, when I kissed her hand at the castle gate, little did I suspect that her fate would have been so wretched."
"And what was her fate?"
"A sad one, lady. Impatient to embrace her lord, after a year's absence, the countess set out to meet him on his return from Scotland, accompanied by a few domestics and her infant daughter, then scarce a 12-month-old. But as she returned with her husband, robbers surprised the party scarce a mile from the castle, and since that time no news has been received of the earl, of the countess, the servants, or the child."
"Dreadful! Were not their corpses found?"
"Never. The only domestic who escaped pointed out the scene of action, and as it proved to be on the river's banks, doubtless the assassins plunged the bodies into the stream."
"Strange! And did Earl Osmond then become owner of this castle? Alice, was he ever suspected of—"
"Speak lower, lady. It was said so, I own, but for my own part I never believed it. To my certain knowledge, Osmond loved the Lady Evelina too well to hurt her, and when he heard of her death, he wept and sobbed as if his heart were breaking. Nay, 'tis certain that he proposed to her before marriage, and would have made her his wife, only that she liked his brother better. Well she might indeed, for Earl Reginald was a sweeter gentleman by half."
"And in that oratory, you say— Good Alice, you have the key of it. Let me see that oratory to-night."
"To-night, lady? Heaven preserve me! I wouldn't enter it after dark for the world."
"But before dark, Alice?"
"Before dark? Why, that indeed— Well, we'll see, lady. But I hope you're not alarmed by what I mentioned of the cedar room."
"No, truly, Alice. From good spirits I have nothing to fear, and heaven and my innocence will protect me against bad."
My very sentiments, I protest. Oh, but heaven forgive me! While I stand gossiping here, I warrant all goes wrong in the kitchen. Your pardon, lady, I must away. I must away.
Exit. Angela, musing.
Osmond was his brother's heir. His strange demeanour, yes, in that gloomy brow is written a volume of villainy. Heavenly powers! An assassin, then, is master of my fate. An assassin, too, who... I dare not bend my thoughts that way. Oh, would I had never entered these castle walls, had never exchanged for fearful pomp the security of my pleasures, the tranquillity of my soul. Return, return, sweet peace, and o'er my breast spread thy bright wings, distil thy balmy rest, and teach my steps thy realms among to rove, wealth and the world resigned, naught mine but love. Ah, cease thy suit, fond girl, thy prayer is vain, for thus did love his tyrant law ordain. Peace still must fly that heart where I still reign.
Exit. End of the first act. Act 2 of The Castle Spectre by Matthew Lewis. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Scene 1. The Armory. Suits of armor are arranged on both sides upon pedestals, with the names of their possessors written under each. Enter Motley, peeping in.
The coast is clear. Hist, hist! You may enter.
Enter Percy.
Loiter not here. Quick, my good fellow, conduct me to Angela.
Softly, softly. A little caution is needful, and I promise you just now I'm not upon roses. You remember the servant who hinted that Earl Osmond had a hand at his brother's murder? Should I be suspected of admitting you to the castle, his fate might be mine, and whatever you may think of it, my lord, I shouldn't be at all pleased at waking up tomorrow to find myself dead in my bed.
If such are your fears, why not lead me at once to Angela? Are we not more exposed in this open hall?
Be contented, and leave all to me. I will contrive matters so that Osmond shall have you before his eyes, and be no jot the wiser. Here,
taking down a suit of armor.
Put on this coat of mail. You must make up your mind to play a statue for an hour or two.
How?
Nay, 'tis absolutely necessary. Quick, quick, ere the servants quit the hall, where they are now at dinner. Here's the helmet, the gauntlet, the shield. So, now take this truncheon in your hand, and there we have you armed capapi.
And now be good enough to explain what purpose this masquerade is to answer.
Willingly. You are to know that since the late Earl's death the castle is thought to be haunted. The servants are fully persuaded that his ghost wanders every night through the long galleries, and parades the old towers and dreary halls which abound in this melancholy mansion. He is supposed to be dressed in complete armor, and that which you wear at present was formerly his. Now hear my plan. The Earl prepares to hold a conference with Lady Angela. Even now I heard her summoned to attend him in the armory. Placed upon this pedestal, you may listen to their discourse unobserved, and thus form a proper judgment both of your mistress and her guardian. As soon as it grows dark, I will conduct you to Angela's apartments. The obscurity will then shelter you from discovery, and, even should you be observed, you will pass for Earl Reginald's spectre.
I do not dislike your plan, but tell me, Gilbert, do you believe this tale of the apparition?
Oh, heaven forbid! Not a word of it! Had I minded all the strange things related of this castle, I should have died of fright in the first half hour. Why, they say that Earl Hubert rides every night round the castle on a white horse, that the ghost of Lady Bertha haunts the west pinnacle of the chapel tower, and that Lord Hildebrand, who was condemned for treason some 60 years ago, may be seen in the great hall, regularly, at midnight, playing at football with his own head. Above all, they say that the spirit of the late Countess sits nightly in her oratory and sings her baby to sleep. However, if it be so—"
A bell sounds thrice, loud and solemn.
"Hark! 'Tis the Earl! Quick, to your post!"
Percy ascends the pedestal.
"Farewell! I must get out of his way. But as soon as he quits this chamber, I'll rejoin you."
Do so, and farewell.
Exit Motley. The folding doors are thrown open. Sahib, Hassan, Muley, and Alaric enter, preceding Earl Osmond, who walks with his arms folded and his eyes bent upon the ground. Sahib advances a sofa, into which, after making a few turns through the room, Osmond throws himself. He motions to his attendants, and they withdraw. He appears lost in thought, then suddenly rises, and again traverses the room with disordered steps.
I will not sacrifice my happiness to hers. For 16 long years have I thirsted, and now, when the cup of joy again stands full before me, shall I dash it from my lip? No, Angela, you ask of me too much. Since the moment when I pierced her heart, deprived of whom life became odious, since my soul was stained with his blood who loved me, with hers whom I loved, no form has been grateful to my eye, no voice spoken pleasure to my soul save Angela's, save only Angela's. Doting upon one whom death has long clasped in his arms, tortured by desires which I never hoped to satisfy. Many a mournful year has my heart known no throb but of anguish, no guessed but remorse at committing a fruitless crime. Hope, that stranger, once more revisits my bosom, the fiend who led me through passion's mazes to the heights of guilt. Owns that a crime so great well merits a reward. He bids the monument's jaws unclose. Evelina revives in her daughter, and soon shall the fires which consume me be quenched in Angela's arms. What, though her heart be Percy's? What, though she prefers a basilisk's kiss to mine? Because my short-lived joy may cause her eternal sorrow, shall I reject those pleasures sought so long, desired so earnestly? That will I not, by heaven! Mine she is, and mine she shall be, though Reginald's bleeding ghosts flit before me, and thunder in my ear, "Hold, hold!" Peace, stormy heart. She comes.
Enter Angela.
Come hither, Angela. Wherefore so sad? That downcast eye, that listless air, neither suit your age or fortunes. Raised from obscurity to rank and splendor, can this change call no smile upon your cheek? Where'er you turn, respect and adoration wait you. 1,000 servants move obedient to your nod. The treasures of India are lavished to adorn your person. Yet still do I see you, forgetting what you are. Look back with regret to what you were.
Oh, my good lord, esteem me not ungrateful. I acknowledge your bounties, but they have not made me happy. I still linger in thought near those scenes where I passed the blessed period of infancy. I still thirst for those simple pleasures which habit has made to me most dear. The birds which my own hands reared, and the flowers which my own hands planted, the banks on which I rested when fatigued, the wild tangled wood which supplied me with strawberries, and the village church where I prayed to be virtuous, while I yet knew of vice and virtue but the name, all have acquired rights to my memory and my love.
What, these costly dresses? These scenes of pomp and greatness?
Dazzle my eyes, but leave my heart unsatisfied. What I would meet with is affection, not respect. I had rather be obliged than obeyed, and all these glittering gems are far less dear to me than one flower of a wreath which Edwy's hands have woven.
Confusion.
While I saw you, Cheviot Hills, I was happy. Oh, how happy! While I listened to your artless accents, friends of my childhood, how swelled my fond heart with gratitude and pleasure! At morn when I left my bed, light were my spirits, and gay as the zephyrs of summer. And when at night my head again pressed my pillow, I whispered to myself, happy has been today, and tomorrow will be as happy. Then sweet was my sleep, and my dreams were of those whom I loved dearest.
Romantic enthusiast! These thoughts did well for the village maid, but disgrace the daughter of Sir Malcolm Mowbray. Let them be changed for others better suited to your birth, to the fortune which awaits you. Hear me, Angela. An English baron loves you, a nobleman, than whom our island boasts few more potent. 'Tis to him that your hand is destined. 'Tis on him that your heart must be bestowed.
I cannot dispose of that which has long been in others. My heart is Edwy's.
Edwy's? A peasant's?
For the obscurity of his birth chance must be blamed. The merit of his virtues belongs wholly to himself.
By heaven, you seem to think that poverty's a virtue.
Sir, I think 'tis a misfortune, not a crime. And when in spite of nature's injustice, and the frowns of a prejudiced and illiberal world, I feel some low-born but illustrious spirit prove itself superior to the station which it fills, I hail it with pleasure, with admiration, with respect. Such a spirit I found in Edwy, and finding, loved.
My blood boils with passion.
You say that by these sentiments I disgrace my rank. I say that to break my given word would disgrace it more. Edwy has my plighted faith. He received it on the last evening which I passed in Northumberland, as we sat on a low bench before old Allen's cottage. It was a heavenly night, sweet and tranquil as the loves of angels. A gentle breeze whispered among the honeysuckles which bloomed above us, and the full moon tinged with her sliver like the divine towers of Alnwick. It was then that for the first time I gave him my hand, and I swore that I never would give it but to him. It was then that for the first time he pressed his lips to mine, and I swore that my lips should never be pressed by another.
Girl, girl, you drive me to distraction.
You alarm me, my lord. Permit me to retire.
Going, Osmond detains her violently by the arm.
Stay. Angela, I love you.
Angela, starting.
My lord!
Love you to madness. My bosom is a gulf of devouring flames. I must quench them in your arms or perish. Nay, strive not to escape. Remain and hear me. I offer you my hand. If you accept it, mistress of these fair and rich domains, your days shall glide away in happiness and honor. But if you refuse and scorn my offer, force shall this instant.
Force? Oh no! You dare not be so base.
Reflect on your situation, Angela. You are in my power. Remember it and be wise.
If you have a generous mind, that will be my surest safeguard. Be it my plea, Osmond, when thus I sue to you for mercy, for protection. Look on me with pity, Osmond. 'Tis the daughter of the man you loved. 'Tis a creature, friendless, wretched, and forlorn, who kneels before you, who flies to you for refuge. True, I am in your power. Then save me. Respect me. Treat me not cruelly, for I am in your power.
I will hear no more. Will you accept my offer?
Osmond, I conjure you.
Answer my question.
Mercy! Mercy!
Would you be mine? Speak! Speak!
Angela, after a moment's pause, rises and pronounces with firmness,
"Never, to help me heaven!"
Osmond seizing her.
Your fate then is decided.
Angela shrieks. Percy in a hollow voice,
"Hold!"
Osmond starts, but still grasps Angela's arm.
Ha! What was that?
Angela, struggling to escape.
"Hark! Hark! Heard you not a voice?"
Osmond, gazing upon Percy.
It came from hence, from Reginald. Was it not a delusion? Did indeed his spirit?
Relapsing into his former passion.
Well, be it so. Though his ghost should rush between us, thus would I clasp her. Horror! What sight is this?
At the moment that he again seizes Angela, Percy extends his truncheon with a menacing gesture, and descends from the pedestal. Osmond releases Angela, who immediately rushes from the chamber, while Percy advances a few steps, and remains gazing on the Earl steadfastly.
I know that shield, that helmet. Speak to me, dreadful vision. Tax me with my crimes. Tell me that you come. Stay. Speak.
Following Percy, who, when he reaches the door through which Angela escaped, turns and signs to him with his hand. Osmond starts back in terror.
He forbids my following. He leaves me. The door closes.
In a sudden burst of passion, and drawing his sword.
Hell and fiends! I'll follow him, though lightning blast me.
He rushes distractedly from the chamber. Scene 2, the castle hall. Enter Alice.
Here's rudeness, here's ill breeding. On my conscience this house grows worse and worse every day.
Enter Motley.
What can he have done with himself? Perhaps, weary of waiting for me in the armory, he has found his way alone to Angela. How now, Dame Alice? What has happened to you? You look angry.
By my troth, fool, I've little reason to look pleased. To be frightened out of my wits by night, and thumped and bumped about by day, is not likely to put one in the best humour.
Poor soul! And who has been thumping and bumping you?
Who has? You should rather ask who has not. Why, only here. As I was just now going along the narrow passage which leads to the armoury, singing to myself and thinking of nothing, I met Lady Angela flying away as if for dear life. So I dropped her a curtsy, but might as well have spared my pains. Without minding me any more than if I had been a dog or a cat, she pushed me on one side. And before I could recover my balance, somebody else, who came bouncing by me, gave me the other thump. And there I lay sprawling upon the floor. However, I tumbled with all possible decency, and took great care that my petticoats should cover my legs.
Somebody else? What somebody else?
I know not, but he seemed to be in armour.
In armour? Pray, Alice, looked he like a ghost?
What he looked like I cannot say, but I'm sure he didn't feel like one. However, you've not heard the worst. While I was sprawling upon the ground, my lord comes tearing along the passage. The first thing he did was to stumble against me. Away went his heels, over he came, and in the twinkling of an eye there lay his lordship. As soon as he got up again, mercy, how he stormed! He snatched me up, called me an ugly old witch, shook the breath out of my body, then clapped me on the ground again, and bounced away after the other two.
My mind misgives me. But what can this mean, Alice?
The meaning I neither know or care about, but this I know. I'll stay no longer in a house where I'm treated so disrespectfully. My lady, says I. Out of my way, says she, and pushes me on one side. My lord, says I. You be damned. says he, and pushes me on the other. I protest I never was so ill used, even when I was a young woman.
Exit.
This account alarms me. Should Percy be discovered, the very thought gives me a creak in my neck. At any rate, I had better inquire whether—
Going. Enter Father Philip hastily. Father Philip stopping him.
Get out of the house. That's your way.
Why, what's the meaning?
Don't stand prating there, but do as I bid you.
But first tell me—
I can only tell you to get out of the house. Kenrick has discovered Earl Percy. You are known to have introduced them. The Africans are in search of you. If you are found, you will be hung out of hand. Fly then to Edric's cottage. Hide yourself there. Hark! Someone comes. Away, away, ere it's too late.
Pushing him out.
But Earl Percy! But Angela!
Leave them to me. You shall hear from me soon. Only take care of yourself, and fly with all diligence. Away!
Exit Motley. Father Philip alone.
So he's off, and now I've time to take breath. I've not moved so nimbly for the last 20 years, and in truth, I'm at present but ill calculated for velocity of motion. However, my exertions have not been thrown away. I've saved this poor knave from Osmond's vengeance, and should my plan for the lady's release succeed, poor little soul, to see how she took on when Percy was torn from her. Well, she shall be rescued from her tyrant. The movable panels, the subterraneous passages, the secret springs well known to me. Oh, I cannot fail of success. But in order to secure it, I'll finally arrange my ideas in the buttery. Whenever I've any great design in hand, I always ask advice of a flagon of ale, and mature my plan over a cold venison pastry. Oh, what an excellent genius must that man have had who first invented eating and drinking.
Exit. Scene 3. A spacious chamber. On one side is a couch, on the other a table, which is placed under an arched and lofty window. Enter Osmond, followed by Saib, Hassan, Muley, and Alaric, who conduct Percy disarmed.
This, sir, is your prison, but doubtless your confinement will not continue long. The moment which gives me Angela's hand shall restore you to liberty, and until that moment arrives, farewell.
Stay, sir, and hear me. By what authority presume you to call me captive? Have you forgotten that you spake to Northumberland's Earl?
Well, may I forget him who could so far forget himself? Was it worthy of Northumberland's Earl to steal disguised into my castle, and plot with my servant to rob me of my most precious treasure?
Mine was that treasure. You deprived me of it basely, and I was justified in striving to regain my own.
Earl, nothing can justify unworthy means. If you were wronged, why sought you not your right with your sword's point? I then should have esteemed you a noble foe, and as such would have treated you. But you have stooped to paltry artifice, and attacked me like some midnight ruffian, privately and in disguise. By this am I authorized to forget your station, and make your penance as degrading as your offence was base.
If such are indeed your sentiments, prove them now. Restore my sword, and sheathe your own, and bid Angela the Conqueror's reward.
No, Earl Percy, I'm not so rash a gamester as to suffer that cast to be recalled, by which the stake is mine already. Angela is in my power. The only man who could wrest her from my arms has wilfully made himself my captive. Such he is, and such he shall remain.
Insulting tyrant, your cowardice in refusing my challenge proves sufficiently.
Be calm, Earl Percy. You forget yourself. that I'm no coward. My sword is proved in the fields of Scotland. My sword shall again prove it, if when you are restored to liberty you still question the courage of my heart. Angela once mine, repeat your defiance, nor doubt my answering.
Angela thine? That she shall never be. There are angels above who favour virtue, and the hour of retribution must one day arrive.
Throws himself upon the couch.
But long ere the arrival of that hour shall Angela have been my bride. And now farewell, Lord Percy. Muley and Sahib.
My lord.
To your charge I commit the Earl. Quit not his apartment, nor suffer him for one moment from your sight.
My lord, we shall obey you.
Osmond aside.
If she refuse me still, the death of this, her favourite, his death. Oh, through what bloody paths do I wander in pursuit of happiness? Yes, I am guilty. Heaven, how guilty! Yet lies the fault with me. Did my own pleasure plant in my bosom these tempestuous passions? No, they were given me at my birth. They were sucked in with my existence. Nature formed me the slave of wild desires, and Fate, as she frowned upon my cradle, exclaimed, I doom this babe to be a villain and a wretch.
Exit, followed by Hassan and Alaric, who lock the door after him.
Look, Muley, how bitterly he frowns.
Now he starts from the sofa. Faith, he's in a monstrous fury.
That may well be. When you mean to take in other people, it certainly is provoking to be taken in yourself.
Percy, after walking a few turns with a disordered air, suddenly stops.
He is gone to Angela. Gone, perhaps, to renew that outrage whose completion my presence alone prevented. Helpless and unprotected, with no friend but innocence, no advocate save tears. How will she now repel his violence?
Now he's in a deep study. Mary, if he studies himself out of this tower, he's a cleverer fellow than I take him for.
Were I not Osmond's captive, all might yet be well. Summoning my vassals, who by this time must be near at hand, forcing the castle and tearing Angela from the arms of a tyrant. Alas, my captivity has rendered his plan impracticable. Eternal curses upon Gilbert, who persuaded me to adopt this artifice. Curses on my own rash folly, which has thrown me thus defenceless in the power of my foe.
That's right. Another stamp or two, and the tower comes rattling about our ears.
And are there then no hopes of liberty?
He fixes his eyes on us.
Might not these fellows... Oh, I can but try. Now stand, my friend, thou master key to human hearts. Aid me, thou potent devil, gold. Hear me, my worthy friends. Come nearer.
His worthy friends. Are we such, Muley?
Yes, truly we are. For friends in need are friends indeed. Mary, if he were not in need, he would call us his mortal foes.
My good fellows, you are charged with a disagreeable office, and to obey a tyrant's mandates cannot be pleasant to you. There is something in your looks which has prejudiced me too much in your favour to believe it possible.
Nay, there certainly is something in our appearance highly prepossessing.
And I knew that you must admire the delicacy of our complexions.
The tincture of your skin, my good fellow, is of little consequence. Many a worthy heart beats within a dusky bosom, and I am convinced that such an heart inhabits yours, for your looks tell me that you feel for, and are anxious to relieve my sufferings. See you this purse, my friends?
It's too far off, and I'm short-sighted. If you'll put it a little nearer.
Restore me to liberty, and not this purse alone, but 10 times its value shall be yours.
To liberty?
That purse?
Muley?
Sahib.
by all my hopes they hesitate. You will know that my wealth and power are equal, not to say superior to Earl Osmond's. Release me from my dungeon, and share that power and wealth. On the events of today depends my life's future happiness, nay, perhaps my life itself. Judge then, if you assist me, how great will be the service rendered me, and believe that your reward shall equal my obligation.
I know not what to answer.
In truth, my lord, your offers are so generous, and that purse is so tempting. Sahib, what say you?
Winking to him.
The Earl speaks so well, and he promises so largely that I own I'm strangely tempted.
Look you, Sahib, will you stand by me?
Sahib, after a moment's thought.
I will.
There's my hand, then. My lord, we are your servants.
This is beyond my hopes. 1,000 thanks, my worthy fellows. Be assured that the performance of my promises shall soon follow the execution of yours.
Of that we make no doubt.
You agree then to release me?
'Tis impossible to do otherwise, for I feel that pity, generosity, and every moral feeling command me to trouble your lordship for that purse.
There it is. And now unlock the door.
Muley, chinking the purse.
Here it is. And now I'm obliged to you. As for your promises, my lord, pray don't trouble yourself to remember them, as I shan't trouble myself to remember mine.
Percy, starting.
Huh? What mean you?
Sahib, firmly.
Earl, that we are faithful.
I wonder you didn't read that, too, in our amiable looks.
What? Will you not keep your word?
In good truth, no. We mean to keep nothing, except the purse.
Perfidious villains!
You mistake us, sir. We cannot be villains, for I, you know, am your lordship's worthy friend.
And I, your lordship's unworthy pensioner.
Confusion! To be made the jest of such rascals.
Earl Percy, we are none, but we should have been, could your gold have bribed us to betray our master. We have but done our duty, you have but gained your just reward. For they who seek to deceive others should ever be deceived themselves.
Silence, fellow. Leave me to my thoughts.
Throwing himself passionately upon the couch.
Oh, with all our hearts, we ask no better.
Muley, we share that purse?
Undoubtedly. Sit down and examine its contents.
They seat themselves on the floor in front of the stage.
How unfortunate that the only merit of these villains should be fidelity. Oh, no hope now is left. Angela is lost, and with her my happiness.
Chorus of voices, singing without.
Sing Megan, oh Megan.
Hark! What's that?
I'll see.
Mounting upon the table.
Ah, this window is so high.
Here, here, take this chair.
Sahib places the chair upon the table, and thus lifts himself to a level with the window, which he opens.
Sleep you or wake, you lady bright.
Sing Megan, oh Megan.
Now is the finest time for flight.
Sing Megan, oh Megan.
No, from your tyrant father's power, beneath the window of your tower, a boat now waits to set you free. Sing Megan, oh Megan.
Sing Megan, oh Megan.
Percy, who has half raised himself from the couch during the latter part of the song, and listened attentively.
Surely I know that voice.
Now what's the matter?
A boat lies at the foot of the tower, and the fishermen sing while they draw their nets.
I could not be mistaken. It was Gilbert.
Hark! They begin again.
Though deep the stream, though high the wall,
Sing Megan, oh Megany.
The danger, trust me, love, is small.
Sing Megan, oh Megany.
To spring below, then never dread, my arms to catch you shall be spread, and far from hence you soon shall be. Sing Megan, oh Megany.
Sing Megan, oh Megany.
I understand him. He bids me. Yet the danger. What course shall I pursue?
Prithee, come down, Sahib. I long to divide the purse.
Stay a moment. One more stanza, and I'm with you. Now, silence.
Fair Emma, hush her heart's alarms.
Sing Megan, oh Megany.
She sprang into her lover's arms.
Sing Megan, oh Megany.
Unhurt she fell, then swift its way the boat pursued without delay, while Emma placed on Edgar's knee sang Megan, oh Megany.
Sing Megan, oh Megany.
Will you never quit that window?
Sahib, shutting it and descending.
Here I am, and now for the purse.
They resume their seats upon the ground. Sahib opens the purse and begins to reckon the gold.
Yes, I must brave the danger. I will find sleep, and when my jailers are off their guard, then aid me, blessed Providence.
Extending himself upon the couch.
Hold, Muley. What if instead of sharing the purse, we throw for its contents? Here are dice.
With all my heart. And look, to pass our time better, here's a bottle of the best sack in the Earl's cellar.
Good, good. And now be this angel the stake. But first, what is our prisoner doing?
Oh, he sleeps. Mind him not. Come, come, throw.
Here goes. 9. Now to you.
9 too. Double the stake.
Agreed, and the throw is mine. Hark, what noise?
During this dialogue, Percy has approached the table in silence. At the moment that he prepares to mount it, Sahib looks round, and Percy hastily throws himself back upon the couch.
Oh, nothing, nothing.
Methought I heard the Earl.
Mere fancy. You see he is sleeping soundly. Come, come, throw.
There then, 11.
That's bad. Huzza. 6s.
Plague on your fortune. Come, double or quits.
Be it so, and I throw. Zounds, only 5.
Ha ha, then I think this must be mine. Aces, by heavens.
Ha ha ha. Your health, friend.
Percy, who has again reached the table, mounted the chair, and opening the window, now stands at it, and signs to the men below.
They see me, and extend a cloth beneath the window. 'Tis a fearful height.
Do you mean to empty the bottle? Come, come, give it me.
Take it, blunderhead.
Sahib drinks.
They encouraged me to venture. Now then or never. Angels of bliss, protect me!
He throws himself from the window. Muley and Sahib starting at the noise.
Hell and furies!
Sahib dashes down the bottle and climbs to the window hastily, while Muley remains below in an attitude of surprise.
Escaped! Escaped!
Percy, Motley, without.
Huzzah! Huzzah! Huzzah!
End of the second act. Act 3 of The Castle Spectre by Matthew Lewis. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3, Scene 1. A view of the River Conway with a fisherman's hut. Sunset. Enter Alan and Edric.
Still they come not. Dear, dear, still they come not. Ah, these tumults are too much for my old body to bear.
Then you should have kept your old body at home. 'Tis a fine thing truly for a man of your age to be galloping about the country after a girl, who by your own account is neither your chick nor child.
Ah, she was more to me. She was my all, Edric, my all. How could I bear my home when it no longer was the home of Angela? How could I rest in my cottage at night when her sweet lips had not kissed me and murmured, "Father, sleep well"? She is so good, so gentle. I was sick once, sick almost to death. Angela was then my nurse and comforter. She watched me when I slept, and cheered me when I woke. She rejoiced when I grew better, and when I grew worse, no medicine gave me ease like the tears of pity which fell on my burning cheeks from the eyes of my darling.
Tears of pity, indeed. A little rhubarb would have done you more good by half. But our people stay a long time. Perhaps Motley has been discovered and seized. If so, he will lose his life, the Earl his freedom, Angela her lover, and what's worst of all, I shall lose my boat. I wish I hadn't lent it, for I doubt that Motley's scheme has failed.
I hope not. Oh, I hope not. Should Percy remain a captive, Angela will be left unprotected in your wicked lord's power. Oh, that will break my poor old wife's heart for certain.
And if it should break it, a mighty misfortune truly. Zounds, Master Allan, any wife is at best a bad thing. A poor one makes matters get worse, but when she's old, Lord, 'tis the very devil.
Hark, hark! Do you hear? 'Tis the sound of oars. They are our friends. Oh, heaven be thanked, the Earl is with them.
A boat appears with Percy, Motley, and soldiers, disguised as fishermen. They land. Percy, springing on shore.
Once more, then, I breathe the air of liberty. Worthy Gilbert, what words can suffice to thank you?
None. Therefore do not waste your breath in the attempt. You are safe, thanks to St. Peter and the blanket, and your lady's deliverance now demands all your thoughts. Ha! Who is that with Edric?
Alan, by all my hopes. Welcome, welcome, good old man. Say, came my vassals with you?
300 chosen men are within the sound of your bugle. They scarce gave me time to signify your orders ere they sat in their saddles. And as I would needs come with them, heaven forgive them for it, they put me on a hard-trotting horse. Marry, he shook me rarely, he has almost broken my old bones. But that matters little. My heart would have been broken had I stayed behind. But now, my lord, tell me of Angela. Is she well? Did you speak to her? And speaks she sometimes of me?
She is well, my old friend, and I have spoken to her, though but for a moment. Scarce had I time to confess to her my rank when Kenrick, whose suspicious eye had penetrated my disguise, forced me from her presence. But be comforted, good Alan. Should other means fail, I will this very night attack the castle, and compel Osmond to resign his prey.
Heaven grant that you may succeed. Let me but once see Angela, your bride. Let me but once hear her say the sweet words, "Alan, I am happy." Then I and my old wife will seek our graves, lay us down, and die with pleasure.
Die with pleasure, you silly old man. You shall do nothing so ridiculous. You shall live a great many years, and instead of lying down in your grave, we'll tuck you up warm with your old wife in the best down bed of Alnwick Castle. But now let us talk of our affairs, which, if I mistake not, are in the high road to success."
"How? Has any intelligence reached you of your ally, the friar?"
"You have guessed it. As it passed beneath his window, the pious porpoise contrived to drop this letter into the boat. Its contents must needs be of consequence, for I assure you it comes from one of the greatest men in England. Pray examine it, my lord. I never can read when the wind's easterly."
"I believe, Gilbert, were it northerly, you would be no jot the wiser. I remember that many a sound stig did our preceptor break upon your back in vain, and before you had learned to spell, your schooling it cost my father a forest."
Motley, while Percy reads.
"Nay, if learning could have been beaten into me, by this time I should be a prodigious scholar. To do him justice, Father Benjamin had a most instructive jerk with his arm, and frequently used arguments so forcibly when pointing out my faults, that many a time and oft has he brought tears into my eyes. Then I generally felt so penitent, and so low, that I was obliged to steal his brandy bottle in order to recover my spirits. Well, sir, what says the letter?"
"Listen. I have recognized you in spite of your disguise, and seized the opportunity to advise you are exerting yourself solely to obtain Earl Percy's liberty. Heed not Angela. I have sure and easy means for procuring her escape, and before the clock strikes 2, you may expect me with her at the fisherman's hut. Farewell, and rely upon Father Philip. Now, Gilbert, what say you? May the monk's fidelity be trusted?"
"His fidelity may undoubtedly. But whether his success will equal his good intentions is a point which time alone can decide. Should it not—"
"Then with my faithful vassals will I storm the castle tomorrow."
"What, storm the castle? Oh, no, no! My darling never saw a bird die but she wept. Then how will she bear to look on when men perish?"
"Be assured, old man, that nothing save invincible necessity shall induce me to bathe my hands in the blood of my fellow creatures. But where are my followers?"
"Fearing lest their number should excite suspicion, I left them concealed in yonder wood."
"Guide me to them. Edric, for this night I must request the shelter of your hut."
"Willingly, my lord, but my cottage is so humble, your treatment so wretched."
"Silence, my good fellow. The hut where goodwill resides is to me more welcome than a palace, and no food can be so sweet as that which is seasoned with smiles. You give me your best. A monarch could give no more, and it happens not often that men ever give so much. Now farewell for an hour. Alan, lead on."
Exeunt Percy, Alan, etc. Monent, Motley, and Edric.
"And in the meantime, friend Edric, I'll lend you a hand in preparing supper."
"Truly the task won't give you much trouble, for times have gone hard with me of late. Our present lord sees no company, gives no entertainments, and thus I sell no fish. Things went better while Earl Reginald lived."
"What, you remember him?"
"Never shall I forget him, or his sweet lady. Why, I verily believe they possessed all the cardinal virtues, so pious, so generous, so mild, so kind to the poor, and so fond of fish."
"Fond of fish? One of the cardinal virtues, of which I never heard before."
But these thoughts make me sad. Come, Master Motley, your lord's supper still swims in the river. If you'll help to catch it, why do so, and thank you heartily. Can you fish?"
"Can I? Who in this world cannot? I'll assure you, friend Edric, there is no profession more universal than yours. We all spread our nets to catch something or other. And alas, when obtained, it seldom proves worth the trouble of taking. The coquette fishes for hearts, which are worthless; the courtier, for titles which are absurd; and the poet, for compliments which are empty. Oh, happy are they in this world of disappointments, who throw out no nets save fishing ones."
Exeunt. Scene 2, The castle hall. Enter Kenrick.
Yonder he stalks, and seems buried in himself. Now, then, to attack him while my late service is still fresh upon his memory. Should he reject my petition positively, he shall have good cause to repent his ingratitude. Percy is in the neighborhood, and that secret, known only to myself, will surely. But silence! Look where he comes.
Enter Osmond.
It shall not be. Away with these foreboding terrors which weigh down my heart. Does not all smile upon my fortunes? My rival wears my chains. He cannot wrest her from me, and with tomorrow's dawn Angela shall be mine. Bound them high, my heart. Pleasure, sweet guest, so long a stranger. Oh, to my bosom welcomes once more. I will forget the past. I will enjoy the present, and make those raptures again mine, which, no, no, no. Conscience, that serpent, winds her folds round the cup of my bliss, and ere my lips can reach it, her venom is mingled with a draught.
How profound the gloom which obscures his brow! How fixed, how hopeless glares his dark eyeball! Oh, dreadful is the villain's look, when he ponders on committed crimes.
Evening approaches fast.
Drawing near and opening the window.
Already the air breathes cooler, and the beams of the setting sun sparkle on the waters of Conway. How fair, how tranquil all without! How dark, how comfortless all within! Hark! The sound of music! The peasants are returning from labor. They move with gay and careless steps, caroling as they go some rustic ditty, and will pass the night in rest, for they have passed the day in innocence.
Chorus without.
Pleased the toils of day to leave, home we haste with footsteps light. Oh, how gay the cotter's eve! Oh, how calm the cotter's night!
Osmond, closing the window with violence.
Curses upon them! I will look, I will listen no more. I sicken at the sight of happiness, which I never more must enjoy. I hate the possessors of hearts untainted. Hate, for I envy. Oh, fly from my eyes, bright day. Speed thy pace, darkness, thou art my love. Haste to unfold thy sable mantle, and robe the world in the color of my soul.
Now then, to accost him, yet I tremble.
Anguish, endless, hopeless anguish. Day or night, no moment of rest. When I sleep, dreams of strange horror still fright me from my couch. When I wake, I find in every object some cause for distrust. Read the dread charge in every eye. Thou art a murderer, and tremble lest the agents of my guilt should work its punishment. And see where he walks, the chief object of my fears. He shall not be so long. His anxiety to leave me, his later mysterious threats. No, no, I will not live in fear. Soft, he advances.
So melancholy, my lord?
Ay, Kenrick, and must be so till Angela is mine. Know that even now she extorted from me a promise that till tomorrow I would leave her unmolested.
But till tomorrow?
But till tomorrow? Oh, in that little space a lover's eye views myriads of dangers. Yet think not, good Kenrick, that your late services are undervalued by me, or that I have forgotten those for which I have been long your debtor. When bewildered by hatred of Reginald, and grief for Evelina's loss, my dagger was placed on the throat of their infant, your hand arrested the blow. Judge, then, how grateful I must feel when I behold in Angela her mother's living counterpart. Behold her such as when, shielding with her body her fallen husband, Evelina received that dagger in her breast which I aimed at the heart of Reginald. Worthy Kenrick, how can I repay your services?
These you make easily. But what, Earl Osmond, what can repay me for the sacrifice of my innocence? I was virtuous, till you bade me be guilty. My hands were pure, till you taught me to stain them with blood. You painted in strong colors the shame of servitude. You promised freedom, riches, independence. You vanquished the resistance of my better angel, and never since have I known one moment of rest.
Good Kenrick.
All here reminds me of my guilt. Every object recalls to me Reginald and his murdered lady. Let me then claim that independence so long promised, and seek for peace in some other climate, since memory forbids me to taste it in this.
Kenrick, ere named, your wish was granted. In a far distant country, a retreat is already prepared for you. There may you hush those clamors of conscience, which must reach me, I fear, even in the arms of Angela. Yet do not leave me till she is my bride. Stay yet a week in Conway Castle, and then, though 'twill cost me many a pang, Kenrick, you shall bid a long adieu. Are you contented?
Kenrick, affected.
My lord, gratitude, amazement, and I doubted, I suspected. Oh, my good lord, how have I wronged your kindness?
No more. I must not hear you.
Aside.
Shame, shame, that ever my soul should stoop to dissembling with my slave. Kenrick, farewell. Till Angela is mine, keep a strict eye on Percy, and then.
Sahib enters, and advances with apprehension.
How now? Why this confusion? Why do you tremble? Speak.
My lord, the prisoner.
The prisoner? Go on, go on.
Sahib, kneeling.
Pardon, my lord, pardon. Our prisoner has escaped.
Villain!
Wild with rage, he draws his dagger and rushes upon Sahib. Kenrick holds his arm.
Hold, hold. What would you do?
Osmond, struggling.
Unhand me, or by heaven.
Away, away, fly, fellow, fly, and save yourself.
Exit Sahib. Kenrick, releasing Osmond.
Consider, my lord. Haply 'twas not by his keeper's fault that.
Osmond, furiously.
What is to me by whose? Is not my rival fled? Soon will Northumberland's guards encircle my walls and force from me. Yet that by heaven they shall not. No! Rather than resign her, my own hand shall give this castle a prey to flames. Then plunging with Angela into the blazing gulf, I'll leave these runes to tell posterity how desperate was my love, and how dreadful my revenge.
Going, he stops and turns to Kenrick.
And you, who dared to rush between me and my resentment, you who could so well succeed in saving others, now look to yourself.
Exit.
That look, that threat. Yet he seemed so kind, so grateful. He smiled too. Oh, there is ever danger when a villain smiles.
Sahib enters softly, looking round him with caution. Saib, in a low voice.
Kenrick.
How now? What brings?
Silence and hear me. You have saved my life, nor will I be ungrateful. Look at this vial.
Did the Earl?
Even so, a few drops of this liquor should tonight have flavored your wine. You would never have drank again. Mark me then, when I offer you a goblet at supper, drop it as by accident. For this night I give you life. Use it to quit the castle, for no longer than till tomorrow dare I disobey our lord's commands. Farewell, and fly from Conwy. You bear with you my thanks.
Exit.
Can it be possible? Is not all this a dream? Villain, villain. Yes, yes, I must away. But tremble, traitor. A bolt, of which you little think, hangs over, and shall crush you. The keys are still in my possession. Angela shall be the partner in my flight, my prisoner too, yet hold. May not resentment, may not Reginald's 16 years' captivity, oh no, Angela shall be my advocate, and grateful for her own, for her parents' life preserved. She will obtain my pardon. Yet, should she fail, at least I shall drag down Osmond in my fall, and sweeten death's bitter cup with vengeance.
Exit. Scene 3. The Cedar Room, with folding doors in the middle, and a large antique bed. On one side is the portrait of a lady, on the other that of a warrior armed. Both are at full length. After a pause, the female portrait slides back, and Father Philip, after looking in, advances cautiously. Father Philip, closing the panel.
Thus far have I proceeded without danger, though not without difficulty. Yon narrow passage is by no means calculated for persons of my habit of body. By my holy name, I begin to suspect that the fool is in the right. I certainly am growing corpulent. And now, how shall I employ myself? Sinner that I am, why did I forget the bottle of sack? The time will pass tediously till Angela comes. And to complete the business, yonder is haunted oratory. What if the ghost should pop out on me? Blessed St. Bridget, there would be a tete-a-tete. Yet this is a foolish fear. 'Tis yet scarce 8 o'clock, and your ghosts always keep late hours. Yet I don't like the idea of our being such near neighbours. If Alice says true, the apparition just now lives next door to me, but the Lord forbid we should ever be visiting acquaintance. Would that I had something to drive her out of my head. A good book now, a bottle of sack, St. Augustine, or a cold venison pastry would be worth its weight in gold. But in the chambers of these young girls one finds nothing good either to read, drink, or eat. Now my last patroness, the Baroness O'Drench, to hear a catalogue of her crimes was quite a pleasure, for she always confessed them over a sirloin of beef, and instead of telling a bead swallowed a bumper. Oh, she was a worthy soul. But hark! Angela comes.
Osmond, without.
What? Alice! Alice, I say!
By St. David, 'tis the Earl! I'll get away as fast as I can.
Trying to open the door.
I can't find the spring. Lord, forgive my sins. Where can I hide myself? The bed. 'Tis the very thing.
Throws himself into the bed and conceals himself under the clothes.
Heaven grant that it mayn't break down with me, for lo, what a fall would be there, my countrymen. They come.
The door's unlocked. Enter Osmond, Angela, and Alice. Osmond, entering.
You have heard my will, lady. Till your hand is mine, you quit not this chamber.
If then it must be so, welcome my eternal prison. Yet eternal it shall not be. my hero, my guardian angel is at liberty. Soon shall this horn make these hateful towers tremble, and your fetters be exchanged for the arms of Percy.
Beware, beware, Angela. Dare not before me.
Before you? Before the world? Is my attachment a disgrace? No! 'Tis my pride, for its object is deserving. Long ere I knew him, Percy's fame was dear to me. While I still believed in the peasant Edwy, often in his hearing have I dwelt upon Northumberland's praise, and chid him that he spoke of our lord so coldly. Ah, little did I think that the man that seated beside me was he whom I envied for his power of doing good, whom I loved for exerting that power so largely. Judge, then, Earl Osmond, on my arrival here, how strongly I must have felt the contrast. What peasant names you his benefactor? What beggar has been comforted by your bounty? What sick man preserved by your care? Your breast is unmoved by woe. Your ear is deaf to complaint. Your doors are barred against the poor and wretched. Not so are the gates of Alnwick Castle. They are open as their owner's heart.
My hair stands on end to hear her.
Insulting girl. This to my face?
Nay, never bend your brows. Shall I tremble because you frown? Shall my eye sink because anger flashes from yours? No, that would ill become the bride of Northumberland.
Amazement. Can this be the gentle, timid Angela?
Wonder you that the worm should turn when you trample it so cruelly? Oh, wonder no more. Ere he was torn from me, I clasped Percy to my breast, and my heart caught a spark of that fire which flames in his unceasingly.
Caught fire, lady? Bless me, I hope you didn't burn yourself.
Silent, old crone. I have heard you calmly, Angela. Now then, hear me. 12 hours shall be allowed you to reflect upon your situation. Till that period is elapsed, this chamber shall be your prison, and Alice, on whose fidelity I can depend, your sole attendant. This term expired, should you still reject my hand, force shall obtain from me what love denies. Speak not, I will hear nothing. I swear that tomorrow sees you mine, or undone, and skies rain curses on me if I keep not my oath. Mark that, proud girl. Mark it and tremble.
Exit.
Heaven be praised, he's gone.
Tremble, did he say? Alas, how quickly is my boasted courage vanished! Yet I will not despair. There is a power in heaven, there is a Percy on earth. On them will I rely to save me.
The first may, lady, but as to the second, he'll be of no use, depend on it. Now might I advise you to accept my lord's offer? What matters it whether the man's name be Osmond or Percy? An earl's an earl after all, and though one may be something richer than the other.
Oh, silence, Alice, nor aid my tyrant's designs. Rather instruct me how to counteract them. You have influence in the castle. Assist me to escape, and be assured that Percy's gratitude and generosity—
I help you to escape, not for the best gown in your ladyship's wardrobe. I tremble at the very idea of my lord's rage, and besides, had I the will, I have not the power. Kenrick keeps the keys. We could not possibly quit the castle without his knowledge. And if the earl threatens to use force with you, oh, Gemini, what would he use with me, lady?
Threatens, Alice? I despise his threats. Ere it pillows Osmond's head will I plunge this poniard in my bosom.
Holy fathers! A dagger!
Even now, as I wandered through the armoury, my eye was attracted by its glittering handle. Look, Alice, it bears Osmond's name, and the point
is rusty with blood. Take it away, lady, take it away. I never see blood without fainting.
Angela, putting up the dagger.
This weapon may render me good service. But, oh, what service has it rendered Osmond? Haply 'twas this very poniard which drank his brother's blood, or which pierced the fair breast of Evelina? Said you not, Alice, that this was her portrait?
I did, lady, and the likeness was counted excellent.
How fair, how heavenly, what sweetness, yet what dignity in her blue speaking eyes!
No wonder that you admire her, lady. She was as like you as one pea to another. But this morning, you know, I promised to show you her oratory, and here I've brought the key. Shall I unlock the door?
Do so, good Alice. Haply, for a moment, it may abstract my thoughts from my own sorrows.
Father Philip, while Alice unlocks the door.
Will the old woman never be gone? I dare not discover myself in her presence.
Alice, having opened the folding doors, an oratory is seen, richly ornamented, with carving and painted glass. Angela and Alice enter it.
This room has not been opened since my lady's death, and everything remains as she left it. Look, here is her veil, her prayer book too, in which she was reading on the very night before she quitted the castle, never to return.
I'm all out of patience.
And that guitar! How often have I heard her play upon that guitar! She would sit in yonder window for hours, and still she played airs so sad, so sweet. To be sure, she had the finest voice that ever.
During this speech, Angela, who at first looks round with curiosity, throws the veil carelessly over her face, and, taking the guitar from the table, strikes a few wild and melancholy notes. Alice, whose back is towards her, turns hastily round, screams, and rushes from the oratory. Angela casts the veil and guitar upon the table, and follows her.
What alarms you?
Oh, is it you, lady? Let me die if I didn't take you for the ghost. Your air, your look, your attitude, all were so like the deceased countess that... Well, I'll not enter that room again in a hurry. I protest my hand trembles so that I can hardly turn the key.
How contagious is terror! This silly woman's apprehensions have spread to my bosom, and scarce can I look around without alarm. The stillness, too, of evening, the wavering and mysterious light which streams through these painted windows, and hark! 'Twas the shriek of the screech-owl, which nests in the tower above.
Alice, having locked the folding doors.
Ah, 'twas a sad day for me when I heard of the dear lady's loss. Look at that bed, lady. That very bed was hers.
Was it so? Oh ho!
How often have I seen her sleeping in that bed, and oh, how like an angel she looked when sleeping. I remember that just after Earl Reginald... Oh, Lord! Didn't somebody shake the curtain?
Absurd! It was the wind.
I declare it made me tremble. Well, as I was saying, I remember, just after Earl Reginald had set out for the Scottish wars, going into her room one morning and hearing her sob most bitterly. So, advancing to the bedside, as it might be thus, "My lady," says I, with a low curtsey, "isn't your ladyship well?" So with that she raised her head slowly above the quilt, and giving me a mournful look...
Here, unseen by Angela, who is contemplating Reginald's portrait, Father Philip lifts up his head and gives a deep groan.
Jesus Maria! The devil! The devil! The devil!
Exit. Angela, turning round.
How now?
Father Philip rising from the bed. It breaks under him, and he rolls at Angela's feet.
Good heavens! A man concealed!
Attempting to pass him, he detains her by her robe.
Stay, daughter, stay. If you run, I can never overtake you.
Amazement! Father Philip!
The very same, and at present the best friend you have in the world. Daughter, I came to save you.
To save me? Speak! Proceed!
Observe this picture. It conceals a spring whose secret is unknown to all in the castle except myself. Upon touching it, the panel slides back and a winding passage opens into the marble hall. Thence we must proceed to the vaulted vestibule. A door is there concealed, similar to this, and after threading the mazes of a subterranean labyrinth, we shall find ourselves in safety on the outside of the castle walls.
Oh, worthy, worthy father! Quick, let us hasten! Let us not lose one moment!
Hold, not so fast! You forget that between the hall and vestibule we must traverse many chambers much frequented at this early hour. Wait till the castle's inhabitants are asleep. Expect me without fail at 1. Keep up your spirits, and doubt not of success. Now I must away, lest the Earl should perceive my absence.
Stay yet 1 moment. Tell me, does Percy—
I have apprised him that this night will restore you to liberty, and he expects you at the fisherman's cottage. Now then, farewell, fair daughter.
Good friar. Till 1, farewell.
Exit Father Philip through the sliding panel, closing it after him.
This is thy doing, God of justice. Receive my thanks. Yes, Percy, we shall meet once more, shall meet never again to separate. Those dreams shall be realized, those smiling golden dreams which floated before us in Alan's happy cottage. Hand in hand shall we wander together through life, partners in pleasure, partners in woe, and when the night of our existence arrives, one spot shall receive our bodies, one stone shall cover our grave. Alan too, and the worthy Maud, my parents, my more than parents, to smooth the pillow of their age, to gild their last hours with sunshine. That thought is heaven. So glorious are my prospects that they dazzle me to look on, and scarce can I believe them really to exist. Oh, gracious God! Should my brain be bewildered by fancy? Should I be now the sport of some deceitful dream, seal up my eyes for ever, never let me wake again? I must not expect the friar before 1. Till that hour arrives, will I kneel at the feet of yonder saint, there tell my beads, and pray for morning.
End of the 3rd act.